Carter, I'm 26 years old and I almost died on Christmas Eve while my family accused me of faking it. That night, the house was glowing with holiday lights. The table was set, the air smelled of roast turkey and cinnamon. Everyone was laughing, passing dishes, clinking glasses. I tried to smile, but every breath felt like my chest was locked in a vice. "Danielle, stop fidgeting," my mother. Michelle hissed across the table, her lipstick-perfect smile never breaking. "You're making people uncomfortable." I pressed my hand to my ribs. The stabbing pain had been building for days. "Mom." My voice cracked. I can't breathe. My sister Tiffany rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might stick. "Here we go again," she muttered loud enough for the whole table to hear. "Drama, Danielle. Can't let anyone else have the spotlight for one night." I tried to answer, but the words caught in my throat. The edges of the room blurred. When I pushed back my chair, my legs gave out. Plates crashed, glasses shattered. I collapsed on the tile, gasping. Danielle, Mom's heels clicked toward me. But instead of kneeling, instead of reaching out, she folded her arms. "Get up. This is ridiculous." "Seriously?" Tiffany's laugh was sharp. "We're in the middle of dinner. You couldn't wait to pull this stunt." Their voices seemed far away, muffled. My lungs refused to fill. I clawed at the floor, terrified. And then Justin, my brother-in-law, dropped beside me. His face was pale. "She's not pretending. She's blue. Call 911. Mom's reply was instant, furious. "Justin, don't encourage her. She's done this before." But Justin already had his phone out. "She's not breathing." "Michelle." His shout cut through the chaos. "Send an ambulance now." The last thing I saw was the paramedics bursting through the door, their voices urgent. "We've got a critical patient, get the stretcher now." And just like that, everything went black. When I was a kid, I thought every family worked this way, that pain was something you swallowed, that crying meant weakness, that being sick made you unworthy of love. My father died in a car accident when I was 6. I don't remember much about him, just the warmth of his laugh and the way he'd lift me onto his shoulders. After he was gone, our house grew quiet, then rigid. My mother, Michelle, ran it like her boutique, polished on the outside, merciless behind closed doors. "Appearances matter more than feelings," she'd say, tugging a brush through my tangled hair until my scalp burned. "Don't embarrass me." She meant it. Whenever I felt unwell, stomach aches, fevers, the endless little illnesses of childhood, her response was always the same: "You're exaggerating. Stop pretending." The first time I realized my words didn't count was at 9 years old. I had fallen off the monkey bars at school, landing on my wrist with a snap that made me scream. By the time Mom picked me up, my arm was swollen purple. In the car, I cradled it against my chest. "It really hurts, Mom. I think it's broken." She didn't even glance at me. "You wouldn't be crying this much if it were really broken. Stop the theatrics." At home, she handed me the vacuum. "We have guests coming tonight. You'll do your chores first." So I vacuumed, tears streaming down my face, while Tiffany, 2 years older, always perfect in Mom's eyes, stood in the doorway smirking. "Drama queen," she sang, rolling the word on her tongue like candy. Only after the guests left did Mom finally drive me to urgent care. The X-ray confirmed what I'd said hours earlier: a clean fracture. The doctor asked gently, "How long has it been like this?" I looked at Mom before answering. She cut in smoothly. "Oh, she just fell an hour ago. She's very sensitive." The lie settled like cement. The doctor nodded, scribbled on his clipboard, and the truth, my truth, vanished into silence. From then on, Tiffany picked up Mom's tone, repeating it like scripture. If I got the flu, she'd laugh, "Danielle's dying again." If I twisted my ankle, she'd mimic a limp until I begged her to stop. Mom never corrected her. She just tightened the rules. Don't cry, don't complain, don't make a scene. The result was simple. I stopped telling them when I hurt. At school, I learned to plaster on a smile. At home, I shrank smaller and smaller, convinced that maybe they were right. Maybe I was too dramatic. Maybe pain was something other people got to feel. But at night, alone in my room, I would curl up under the covers, clutching the aching parts of myself and whispering, "You're not pretending. You're real. You know your body." It was the only place I allowed myself to believe it. By the time I hit high school, I had mastered silence. If I felt dizzy during gym, I pushed harder. If I had migraines so sharp they blurred my vision, I locked myself in the bathroom until they passed. At home, weakness was ammunition, and Tiffany never missed a chance to fire. Mom Danielle says she's sick again. She'd tattle with a smirk. Should I call the paramedics? They would both laugh like it was the funniest joke in the world. I counted the days until graduation, convinced freedom was somewhere beyond our front door. When I finally left for college in Dallas, it was like stepping into sunlight after years in a locked attic. My roommate Hannah noticed things instantly, the way I winced climbing stairs, the way I rubbed my temples when the migraines hit. One night she found me curled on the dorm floor, clutching my stomach. "Oh my God, Danielle, are you okay?" I braced for the familiar ridicule. "I'll be fine. It's not a big deal." She shook her head. "Not a big deal? You're pale. We're going to the campus clinic." The words stunned me. "We're going. Not stop pretending. Not you're exaggerating." She believed me. At the clinic, the nurse confirmed what I'd suspected: a stomach ulcer from years of stress. Simple medical fact. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't dramatic. I was sick. And someone took it seriously. That night, Hannah bought me ginger tea and sat cross-legged on my bed. "You have to stop minimizing everything," she said. "Your pain is real. You matter." It was the first time anyone had said those words aloud. They cracked something open in me, a part of myself I'd buried long ago. College became a period of slow repair. I studied business, joined a photography club, worked part-time in a cafe. For the first time, I had friends who noticed when I wasn't okay and cared enough to ask. But the ghosts of home still followed me. On breaks when I visited Orlando, it was as if nothing had changed. Mom would eye me critically. "You've gained weight. Don't tell me you're eating cafeteria food." Tiffany would scoff at my stories. "So dramatic, Danielle. You probably fainted on purpose so your roommate would pity you." I'd laugh it off, but inside the old doubt returned. If my own family refused to believe me, maybe my friends were just being nice. Still, I clung to the truth I'd learned at college: not everyone dismissed me. Pain didn't make me weak. And leaving Orlando after each visit always felt like escape. By the time I graduated at 22, I had built a fragile sense of self-worth. I found a marketing job in Miami and moved into an apartment with Hannah. Life was finally mine, independent, steady. I thought I had outrun the past. What I didn't know was that the lessons of silence and doubt would come roaring back when I lost everything: my job, my savings, and had no choice but to return to the very house where I'd once learned not to trust my own body. At 25, I thought I had it figured out. A steady marketing job in Miami, a tiny but bright apartment, late-night talks with Hannah that felt like family. For the first time, I was living, not just surviving. Then the company downsized. In one meeting, my position vanished along with my paycheck. The savings I'd built drained in months: rent, bills, groceries. By October, I had no choice but to pack my life into boxes and drive back to Orlando. Back to them. The house looked the same, but stepping inside felt like slipping into an old, suffocating costume. Mom greeted me with an air kiss, her eyes scanning my suitcase. "Don't tell me you're moving in permanently. You're too old to freeload." "It's just temporary," I murmured. Tiffany appeared behind her heels, clicking on the hardwood. Her smile was sweet as poison. "Of course it's temporary. Danielle has always been a guest star in this house." I bit my tongue. I needed a roof. I needed time. Within a week, Mom found a way to tether me. "Since you're here, you'll take charge of Christmas. Guests expect everything perfect, and Tiffany has work." Work. Tiffany's new boutique job gave her endless excuses to avoid responsibility, so the burden fell on me. I spent December running errands, stringing lights, ironing linens until my back screamed. At night, lying in my childhood bedroom, I felt the familiar ache in my ribs flare again. Breathing grew tight. Some mornings I woke drenched in sweat, my heart racing. "Mom, I don't feel right," I said once, careful testing the waters. She didn't look up from her laptop. "Of course you don't. You never do. You're not backing out of Christmas." So I kept going. Shopping lists, menus, decorations, every detail had to impress her friends. Tiffany breezed in occasionally, offering critiques like a boss reviewing an intern. "These ribbons are crooked. The dessert table looks sad. You're trying too hard, Danielle." Each jab chipped at me, but I swallowed it. Just survive December, I told myself. Once I found work, I could leave again. But my body wasn't listening. The tightness in my chest worsened. Sometimes I had to sit down dizzy while wrapping gifts. At night, Hannah's voice echoed in my head. "Your pain is real. You matter." Yet here, in this house, that truth melted away. Christmas Eve arrived in a storm of polished silverware, candles, and carols humming through speakers. The house sparkled. I looked like a ghost. My reflection in the bathroom mirror showed pale skin, hollow eyes, lips dry from shallow breaths. I considered calling Hannah, begging her to drive up. But what would I say? Come rescue me from my own family? It sounded childish, so I powdered my face, forced on a red dress, and walked to the dining room. The table was perfect, just like Mom demanded. Guests praised Tiffany's efforts, unaware I had bled myself dry for weeks. I sat at the corner, silent, a pressure ballooning inside my chest. It was that night, during the laughter, the toasts, the clinking of wine glasses, that my body finally betrayed me. The moment everything unraveled. When I opened my eyes, the world was white, sterile. A steady beep, beep, echoed from a monitor at my side. Hospital. A nurse noticed I was awake and hurried over. "Don't try to sit up yet. You stopped breathing on arrival. We had to stabilize you." Her words sank slowly like stones. Stopped breathing. I wasn't crazy. Something real had happened. But before relief could settle, the door burst open. Mom swept in, Tiffany at her heels. Their expressions weren't relief, weren't fear. They looked annoyed. Danielle, Mom sighed like she'd caught me sneaking in past curfew. "Do you have any idea what you've put us through?" I blinked, throat raw. I couldn't breathe. They said "You embarrassed us," Tiffany snapped. Her arms were crossed, nails gleaming under fluorescent light. Guests were whispering, saying you pulled some stunt for attention. Christmas was ruined. I stared at her, waiting for a crack, a hint that she was joking. But her face was stone. The nurse cleared her throat. "Excuse me, but she suffered a severe asthma attack, possibly pneumonia. We're running more tests." This wasn't for attention. She nearly died. Mom's lips tightened. She always finds a way to make things bigger than they are. She turned to the nurse. "How soon can she be discharged?" "We have family brunch tomorrow." I felt like the air had been punched out of me all over again. Even with medical proof, even after almost dying, they still didn't believe me. When the nurse left, Tiffany leaned closer, her voice sugar-coated but sharp. "Next time, Danielle, try not to ruin the holiday. Some of us actually matter in that house." Justin appeared then, standing awkwardly in the doorway. His eyes were kind, guilty. "Danielle, don't listen. I saw you. You weren't faking." For a moment, I clung to his words like a lifeline. Someone else had seen the truth. But Mom snapped at him. "Justin, that's enough. Don't encourage her." Silence hung heavy after they left, the door clicking shut. I lay there staring at the ceiling, a foe tugging at my arm, heart hammering. They would never see me, never believe me. The thought was colder than the hospital air. That night, while the machines hummed beside me, I realized something had shifted. Their disbelief wasn't just cruel, it was dangerous. Because if I kept relying on them, one day I wouldn't wake up at all. I was discharged 2 days later, weaker but alive. Mom didn't pick me up. Justin did. He carried my bag silently, his jaw tight. When we reached the house, the smell of cinnamon and pine still lingered. Christmas was over, but its glittering shell remained like nothing had happened. Mom was at the dining table, flipping through a magazine. Tiffany scrolled her phone nearby. Neither looked up. I cleared my throat. The doctor said I need rest. I can't keep doing all the chores. Mom turned a page. Then maybe don't dramatize everything. You're fine. The heat rose in my chest, not sickness this time, but fury. For 25 years I had swallowed their disbelief, bent myself small, prayed for scraps of kindness. But lying in that hospital bed, I realized surviving them was killing me. I placed the hospital bracelet on the table in front of her. The plastic tag glared under the light, my name printed in black ink. This says otherwise. I stopped breathing. That's not drama. That's real. Tiffany rolled her eyes. Oh, here we go again. Always the victim. No, I said, my voice steady for once. Not anymore. I'm done letting you decide what's real. I'm done begging you to care. Mom finally looked up, irritation flashing in her eyes. Don't be ridiculous. Family is family. You can't just walk away. I met her gaze, calm in a way that scared even me. Watch me. Silence spread across the room. Tiffany scoffed, but Justin shifted uneasily, eyes flickering with something like respect. That night, I packed quietly. No ceremony, no goodbyes. Just folded clothes, zipped bags, and a heart that felt bruised, but resolute. Before dawn, I wheeled my suitcase out the front door. The cold air hit my lungs sharp and clean, as if the world itself exhaled with me. I didn't know exactly where I was going, maybe back to Miami, maybe to Hannah's couch. But I knew where I wasn't staying. For the first time, leaving didn't feel like running away. It felt like survival. And this time, I wasn't coming back. I didn't slam the door when I left. I didn't scream or cry. I simply walked away, suitcase rolling behind me like a shadow I was finally allowed to release. Hannah opened her apartment door in Miami with wide eyes and outstretched arms. You look like hell, she whispered, then pulled me into a hug so tight I nearly collapsed. For the first time in weeks, I let myself sob. Not the quiet, hidden tears I'd mastered as a child, but heavy, shaking cries that racked my chest. Hannah didn't flinch. She held me until the storm passed. Recovery was slow. My lungs needed time, and so did my heart. There were days I woke in panic, certain I'd hear Tiffany's sneer or Mom's clipped voice. But instead, there was Hannah making tea, or Justin's texts checking in quietly. Apologies he couldn't quite say out loud, but I understood anyway. I found small jobs at first, freelance projects, tutoring sessions, anything to rebuild a sense of worth outside their house. Each paycheck, no matter how small, felt like proof I could survive without them. Therapy came next. It wasn't easy, peeling back years of dismissal, learning to say my pain matters without waiting for permission. But piece by piece, I stitched myself back together. One evening, sitting on Hannah's balcony, I watched the Miami skyline glow against the ocean. She passed me a mug of tea and said, "You know, family doesn't always mean blood. Sometimes it's the ones who stay when things break." Her words settled into me like warmth spreading through chilled skin. She was right. I used to think surviving meant enduring my parents, shrinking myself to fit their version of me. But survival had a different shape now, choosing spaces where my breath came easy, where my truth wasn't a burden, but a bond. By the next Christmas, I didn't return to Orlando. Instead, I hosted a small dinner in Hannah's apartment. We cooked clumsily, laughed at burnt cookies, drank cheap wine. It wasn't lavish or perfect, but it was real. Looking around the table, Hannah grinning, a couple of friends sharing stories, even Justin calling in over video chat, I felt something I'd never felt at home: belonging. For the first time, I wasn't the forgotten daughter. I wasn't the burden. I was simply me. And that was enough. 5 years later, December still carries a weight. The sight of twinkling lights, the smell of cinnamon, sometimes they stir old ghosts. But I don't run from them anymore. This year I spent Christmas morning walking along the beach. The ocean stretched endless and bright waves, folding and unfolding like pages I finally learned to turn. Behind me waited a home I built myself, small, sunlit, filled with books, plants, and people who chose me, not out of obligation, but out of love. Hannah still teased me like a sister. Justin visited when he could, and slowly I learned to let others in too. Mom and Tiffany. We haven't spoken in years. Sometimes a part of me aches at that silence, but then I remember, silence is kinder than their denial ever was. For so long I believed family was something fixed, unchangeable, a debt I had to keep paying no matter the cost. But survival taught me something else. Family can be redefined. It can be chosen. When I left that house, I thought I was walking away from everything. Now I know I was walking toward myself. And this life, fragile and imperfect as it is, finally feels like mine. That's my story. I spent years begging for love in a house that only gave me doubt. I almost lost my life before I realized I didn't need their belief to make my pain real. What I needed was to believe myself. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family or been told your feelings don't matter, I hope my journey shows you this. You can step away. You can build a new circle, a new family, and a new self that isn't defined by their denial. And if you're still in the middle of it, still fighting to be seen, please know you're not alone. Thank you for listening, for sharing this time with me. If this story touched you, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your own story, whether of surviving, rebuilding, or still searching for your voice. Because sometimes telling it out loud is the first step to healing. And maybe we can remind each other our truth matters. Always.